Welcome back to the channel. Now, per the family's request for an attachment video, your girl is here to bring it. Now, I want you to look at this video through the eyes of, even if you do not watch the show, what is my relationship attachment style? Whether that's with friends, whether that's with romantic partners, family members, relationships with people I have in the world in general. What is your relationship attachment style? So let's get into it. If you are new here, I am the illustrious Denise Brady, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I come to get things together. We mash up mental health and reality TV. Even if you do not watch the shows that I recap, I still bring value. So hit that notification bell, make sure you subscribe because you can learn and evolve as a person and enter into your healing era. Okay? Now, watching this season of the Love is Blind UK, there was not a lot of drama. There was a lot of foundational things where people were invested in relationships with themselves, relationships with other people. We didn't see all the BS that we normally see from the US version. Now, looking at each of these individuals, the women and both the men, I feel like each side brought something different, where that was their trauma to the table, their anxiety, a little bit of their ADHD. They all came together, and on that reunion stage, I think they kept it very diplomatic. And as we have seen things come out and evolve post-show, a lot of people showed up as their representative. And the real person, please stand up. Now that the cameras are no longer there, we're seeing people's true colors. And I think looking at this from a therapist's perspective, what you saw was what they thought the other person wanted, needed. And that's what we see in a lot of relationships. People show up as what they think that situation needs of me. Who I am takes a back seat. Maybe that's because I'm not used to showing up as myself. Maybe it's because I really want this relationship to work. So I'm going to become what my partner needs me to become. And some of y'all are probably guilty of that, of becoming the person that you think these situations need from you. And I'm here to let you know you need to stop. You need to work on showing up as yourself. And through some of the cast members that you identify like or you have picked up some of their, do I do that? Is that how I show up? Well, a girl is going to tell you today. Now, we have the 4 attachment styles: anxious, avoidant, disorganized, insecure. Some of those go by as dismissive. You might hear fearful, avoidant, those ones. But for the most part, the 4 categories that we hear are anxious, avoidant, secure, and disorganized. And your attachment style is developed in those first 5 years of life. How do you attach to your caregiver? What was your relationship like with your parents? Whoever raised you? Was your parent in the home? Did they work a lot? Was your caregiver in jail, in and out? Was your family moving a lot? Okay. Also, how many siblings do you have? What is your birth order? I often ask my clients, do you know the story around your birth and your existence? Because that is an important thing that we don't talk about enough. What was your mother, your father, when that woman became pregnant? What was going on in her life? What was going on in her relationships? Was she working hard? Were you a planned pregnancy? Were you not? Were you supposed to be the golden child because your mom had her own mental health issues? Did your parents divorce quickly after? Okay. Were you a surprise baby? Were you the only girl out of a house full of 5 boys? Okay. All that plays a role into your attachment style and how you show up in the world. Now, looking at some of these people, who should we start with? Okay, I think we're going to start with Demi, okay? Because Demi represents a lot of different. Now, I'm not going to go through everybody because I ain't got time and everybody don't have no significant role, okay? But Demi to me represents an anxious attachment style, fulfilling who you are as a person from the outside, from those relationships, how you show up. And a key thing that I heard Demi say on that reunion stage was that she felt like in Greece, she was a shell of herself. Okay, I saw that. I saw her acquiesce and become what she thought this experiment and what Ollie wanted and needed. And I believe in relationships, she is used to becoming who her partner needs or wants her to be, even situations. Anxious attachment style is of devaluing yourself for others, becoming what other people need you to be. Okay? Oftentimes, people with anxious attachment style have poor sense of selves because maybe as a child, it was not poured into them to love on themselves. Maybe they had critical parents. Maybe they were dismissed because they had a household full of other siblings. Maybe they were latchkey kids. Different reasons in those first 4 to 5 years of your life brought you to who you are maybe now or what you were. Maybe some of you guys used to be anxious and now you're not anymore, but those first 5 years are very pivotal. And a lot of times I'm seeing people with an anxious attachment style have a chronic fear of abandonment because their self-worth comes from other people, other relationships, that in order to not feel like this person is going to abandon you, you try and show up more. Sometimes you're pouring more into the relationship than you do, than they are. And you're wondering, how come I'm pouring, not receiving back? But we'll get to that a little bit later. But Demi to me represents someone with an anxious attachment style. And I enjoy seeing her kind of work through that. I'm not quite sure if she really came out of it, but she shows you she's a work in progress and represents a lot of women. I saw the disappointment in her face of really maybe on that stage, realizing that Charlotte and Ollie are together. I'm not sure if she really knew for sure that there was something there, but there was also seeing that man say so many positive words about that woman that she did not receive herself laying next to him. It was a true actualization of, wow, damn, this is really it. What I felt, what I saw, this is really it. And a lot of people can come out of being anxious attached. You can work through, you have to figure out your sense of self, who you are. What do I need from me? How do I show up for me? How do I stop always in relationships giving? Oh, you need something? I got it. Oh, you need a plate? I got it. Is the other person, is there reciprocity? Are you getting that in your relationship from the other person? Are you? Another example of someone being anxiously attached is texting. Texting is like the death of relationships. Y'all should not be arguing in text message. Y'all should not be sending those long paragraphs. But text messages play in this anxious attachment style because they're not texting quick enough. I text them good morning. It's been 20 minutes. It's been an hour. They're not responding. I've called them. That anxiousness tends to pick up and you start to doubt. Is it me? What I do? Is he not really into me? You start to spiral and ruminate over those negative thoughts, those negative beliefs. So Demi to me represents an anxious attachment style. Looking at some of the other women, men, Sam also represents someone who has an anxious attachment style. Now, we don't talk enough about anxious attachment styles in men. We focus a lot on women, but not only was Sam anxious, but he's also codependent. And he is a chameleon and a snake. I feel like he will do whatever he can to get that need represented in him. The darkness, the void, he will make up lies like he did Nicole, okay? He will do whatever he can. And at times, watching it the first couple episodes, I was like, maybe he's misunderstood. Maybe he's a late bloomer. I still think he might be a late bloomer. But in the end, he was manipulative. He will do anything to get those needs met. Okay, a lot of his self-worth comes from women liking him. And he will do and say whatever, as we saw. And be careful about dating men who are anxiously attached. Now, we see it on both sides. I think when you have two people who are very anxiously attached, that relationship will never work because all the thing in the middle here should be love, but instead it's anxiousness. And you just have all of that anxiousness filtering. It's moving and grooving. Okay, and it becomes a third person in your relationship. And you can't overcome it because you can't see it. Because you're so in your mind, you're so in your head about the doubt, the the beliefs, the rumination, the negative thinking, all that comes into play so much that it creates this thing here that you're wondering, how come we aren't here? How come we are here? It's because all that stuff has just been like building. The foundation of your relationship is an altered sense of self. It is the anxious part of yourself that has been watered. You guys, that's what you guys are watering your relationship, is that thing right there. So that's a little bit about anxious attachment styles. Both Demi and Demi and Sam both represent anxious attachment style. Now let's get to an avoidance, because that's another combination that I see a lot in relationships. Someone who's avoidant and someone who's anxious. Those are the two we see. Now, when it comes to avoidant attachment styles, you have to think about what was given to you as a child. Was your parent an avoidant, a dismissive, a critical? Okay. Sometimes I feel like people who have avoidant attachment style, also known as dismissive attachment styles, are afraid of getting close, afraid of love. They want the relationship, they want the love, but they are afraid of someone getting too close because they have trauma and they have been hurt. And most of the time that trauma and that hurt comes from a parent. A parent, maybe they trusted and loved and believed in them, and that person let them down. Maybe a mother who wasn't there, a mother coming back in and forth in your life, that mother wound, that father wound, that back and forth. So much so that I really like her. I really want to get to know her. Oh, back up, because you might hurt me. Just like everyone else has hurt me. Okay. And so you being an anxious attachment style, trying to get with someone who has an avoidant attachment style, you're wondering, I'm doing everything. How come it's not working? They're not getting closer because of their trauma. The trauma is stopping them from really connecting to you. Nothing you can do will convince or prove all of the proving you're trying to do with that person. None of it will work because they have to work through their own trauma and insecurities. And a lot of it goes back to, once again, childhood. Once again, parental relationships or caregiver relationships. But they have to go back and work through that stuff so that they can become better and become a better person for themselves before they can become a better person for you. Remember, nothing you can do you can't change that. You can't change people. People have to want to change for themselves and do the work for themselves. Now, when it comes to looking at avoidant attachment styles, I feel like Tom had a little bit of that. And I feel like Ollie had a little bit of that. Okay. Notice the two things about both these people, what they had in common. We never saw their parents. Okay. And I'm not sure if it was edited out for Ollie, but with Tom's, his mama was like, I don't believe in this. I'm not being a part of this. So I feel like if we were able to see the dynamic between their parents, we would have saw more of, oh, this is where that's coming from. And, maybe I could be wrong about Ollie. Maybe it was just that he wasn't really feeling Demi, but to me, he has more of an avoidant attachment style. I wonder about the relationship that he has with other people. We saw a little bit of the broness, with some of the people, Aaron and the pod, but we really didn't see him build a lot of relationships. I don't think we saw a lot of his outside relationships, and that's the piece that is missing that I want to know more about, because I do feel like both of them have avoidant attachment styles. I feel like Tom at times tried to get close to Maria, but then recoiled at times. He never gave his all to her. And I think Ollie gave him bits and pieces. I kind of want to say at times he might have breadcrumbed her. And I'm curious about them when they had this break. What really happened there? What was going on that they disconnected for a little bit? I need to know more. But I'm not invested in these people about reading the blogs, following up on the tea. I ain't got time for it. So y'all need to let me know in the comments what happened. Then we have our disorganized attachment style. Okay. And now disorganized, who y'all think I'm going to say? I'm going to give y'all a second. Catherine. Catherine has a disorganized attachment style, very critical, abandonment wounds, very push-pull. You never know what you're going to get. I think she has a facade, but she has a lot of abandonment issues from being adopted. Who is she really? I think she's still trying to find her sense of self, and she loves through being critical. Her love language, maybe subconsciously, is through criticism. And a lot of people have parents similar to Catherine who have very critical, disorganized attachment styles. And those are the people who grew up to struggle with voices, having a voice, autonomy, making decisions. Because often as a child, their parents question their decisions. They didn't have support. They didn't find support in their parental relationships. And so now it's like it was mirrored to them of being critical. So all they know how to do is be critical in relationships. Once again, this is another attachment style that is plagued with the fear of abandonment. We see Catherine was abandoned by her mother at birth. She was given up for adoption. So now you see them being anxious at times. You see them being avoidant at times. It's a mixture of both. Like, I love me, love me, love me. Oh, back up. Don't get too close because you're going to hurt me like everybody else did. So you saw a lot of that with Catherine. And all it took was him to say that he had cheated in the past for her to be like, that's my way out. That's the thing I'm going to pick on you about. Nothing you do for me is ever going to be good enough because I am not good enough. My mom showed me at birth I was not good enough because she let me go. And that's some deep-rooted trauma that she has to work through. And I think she doesn't seem like she's in a place to acknowledge that she has a lot of that trauma. I think she's still in her masking era where she's just like, I'm just going to mask it with clothes, trips, men. Apparently she's dating somebody from the pods who we never saw. Feeling that hole in here with people, places, and things is what she's doing. Okay. Now that is your disorganized attachment style. I think you can heal from that through a lot of therapy, through confronting, sitting with, dealing with the pain of that trauma wound, that bond that you never got with that parent, the wounds of your parents that are still lingering with you that you're taking into the world in your relationships. Now, okay, our last one is secure. The most secure person I can think of on that stage was probably Sabrina. A lot of these shows do not cast secure attachment styles because they need people to live in the fantasy. And the attachment styles that live in the fantasies are the avoidance, are the avoidant, the anxious, the disorganized. Secure attachment styles don't live in the fantasy world that reality shows create. They need the cast to fall into the romance, be misty-eyed, the romance of it all, the I can't say that word, romanticism. I got it. They need people to fall for that. And secure attachment styles don't really do that. I think, Sabrina comes off to me very secure in her business, who she is. She's not willing to put with the BS that was her partner. Steedman was a representative. I think he is someone who probably has more of a avoidant attachment style himself. He's not ready to really show up as the person that he needs to be. Right now, he's in a position of showing up like he feels like others want him to be. And I think a lot of these people are representatives. Okay. Now, Benai and Nicole, they just both Nicole seems aloof to me. Benaiah, can he be secure? Let me know your thoughts. I don't think he's anxious. I don't think he's disorganized. I'm going to say he's probably secure with some anxious, sprinkled in here and there. But yeah, a lot of these people have anxious attachment styles. That's what casting goes for. The unstable, the anxious, the naive, the aloof. Look at your core things when you're looking at these shows. And I want to know, what is your relationship attachment style? How do you identify? What you got out of this video? Maybe you learned that I need to work on some of these things, how I show up in relationships. And it's not just romantic relationships. Remember that. It's relationships in general, friendships, family roles, how you show up at work. All of that your anxious attachment style plays into. And sometimes you may not be conscious of how much your attachment style plays a role in how you show up in the world. Now, you can come back from these things through therapy, sitting with yourself, doing the work, and looking at how can I be a better me for me and not how I can be a better me for other people. Now, make sure you like, you subscribe, testify in the comments if this represents a lot of you, and I will see you guys in the next video.